How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is what will most likely be the last really nice day for at least a week. So I figured I'd get out and maybe we do another entry in the sharing your stories, because I keep getting more and more, which is awesome. If you're new around here and you've just stumbled across this video, all that we're doing is I'm reading stories that have been submitted to me by members of the community, subscribers of this YouTube channel, regarding their van life, their nomadic life, or their aspirations to possibly be part of that lifestyle, or any other quips you might want to share. We had a great little ditty about a German car in the last episode. So we got a few more here. Let's take a peek, see what we got. Hopefully my email is booted up. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. All right, let's share this one. This comes from Maria. She sent me a follow-up. Oh, okay. Just wanted to see she had her YouTube screen name and everything on there. It's a little bit of a longer one, but I don't mind that at all. All right, Maria writes in and she says, "Hi, Matthew. I'm finally writing my story for you. It's been stewing in my brain since you first proposed this concept on your channel. The reason for the compulsion is not clear, other than I so enjoy your channel and wish to be part of your community." Well, you are, Maria. Your outro music has delighted me since you began using it, as it conveys the feeling of your purpose so well. Muddling along, skipping and playing when you can. Isn't that what we are all trying to do? I have been in a long transition into van life for this entire year. Thanks to an inheritance, I find myself finally able to obtain a living space that is solely mine. I'm 66 years old, had a career that paid plenty, and I had plenty of things. I lost all of it back in the 2010s. I have been penniless and jobless for 10 plus years and living with my daughter and her husband. They had treated me well, and I asked for little. But the time has come where my daughter wants her home and family to herself, and I too feel the urge to be independent, as is my true nature. I desire a home where things are as I want them, and the schedule of life is mine. In February of this year, I ordered a 2022 Ram ProMaster 1500 136-inch wheelbase high roof van with the intention of doing a no-build fitting out. It arrived in July. As I live in Southern California, it was way too hot to begin working on it. Besides, it was having brain issues. For 2 months, I struggled with the dealership to get it working properly. Finally, they had to wipe its computer system clean and reload it. I was hesitant to spend the money on materials or time to work on it until it was working correctly. That time came in September. It was still too hot to work on it until the 3rd week of October. So here I am now. I've installed the floor, a stainless steel kitchenette from IKEA, a pantry, and my Iceco fridge/freezer. There is also insulation on the walls, but not the ceiling, as the Max Air fan still needs to be installed, and I'm too unstable to climb on top of that 9-foot roof and install it, although I have the skills and materials. All I need to move in is the fan and my bed. I don't want to install the bed until after the fan, metal shavings and all of that. I sleep in the house still, and my bedroom is upstairs. Stairs are very hard because I have bad knees. I cook in the van. I hang out in the van. I spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to be efficient about where all my stuff is, upstairs or in the van, because going up and down the stairs is so painful. I cannot wait to be settled into the van. Here you have all the blah, blah, blah of my current situation, which is what I thought I wanted to write about until today. This past week, the focus was on the Thanksgiving holiday with family and all the cooking and activities. Today was the first day I had to myself. I found I could not think about van stuff or organizing or anything responsible. I spent a lot of time sitting and letting my mind wander about. Finally, I remembered I really needed to go grocery shopping. Okay, fine. I'll go do something responsible. So off to the store I went, even though I was hungry and really wanted that sandwich I'd been looking forward to. But I needed lettuce and tomato for it. Got my groceries and proceeded out to the van to put them away. I decided to make the sandwich first and eat it as I was putting the groceries away. And then the aha moment hit. I was standing at my stainless steel countertop making the sandwich. The sun was coming through the windshield and shining on the counter. It was about 3:30 or 4 in the afternoon. The sun sets around 4:30, so the light was at such a lovely angle and it was golden. It was so pretty. I looked up and out the windshield of my van and saw the people in the parking lot going to and fro from their cars and into the store. I saw the light and shadows playing on everything. I realized I was making my food and standing in my home in a parking lot and enjoying the beauty of it. I started to giggle. I took a drink of water and felt how cool and good it tasted. I had a bite of the sandwich and it was so tasty. I sat in my passenger swivel seat and watched the sun begin to set, and I felt free. Then, because I drank so much water, I needed to relieve myself. I went to the back of the van and used my potty. I sat there and laughed out loud because no one knew what I was doing. I was insanely happy. I realized I didn't have to go home until later tonight for bedtime. I realized my time was my own, and I had everything I needed to be comfortable and happy right there in my van. I even had Wi-Fi. So I sat down and wrote this. I wanted to share that each person's transitions can be long or short, difficult or easy, but at some point or points in between, joy can be had, and eventually one transition will be over and the next one will begin. It's important to take the time to just be without the have-to-dos. Breathe, see, feel, and enjoy. Maybe that's taking a step back to feeling like childlike. I am so thankful to have found all the van life channels, and especially this one. Oh boy. Matthew, yours is the first one I've run into that encourages us, the viewers, to actively become part of their community by sharing our stories. It's a very good thing for me, as it has given me cause to reflect on what my story is and what it is I want to convey. I don't want to convey all the blah, blah, blah. I want to share that this life can be a vehicle to freedom. Freedom to get in touch with how we feel, how we see our world, and how we touch each other. Thank you, Matthew. Signed, Maria. That was amazingly well written in such a simplistic and easy to understand way that anybody can get that. That is exactly, I don't know, if you're in the van life, I think you know, we've all had those moments. I had mine when I finally went down and parked lucky next to a river and woke up the next morning and realized, yeah, you really can do anything you want in this world. And it's this exact moment that you had, this simplistic moment outside a grocery store making yourself a sandwich that I probably wouldn't have enjoyed, too much lettuce and tomato, but you enjoyed it. And you got it. That's when it hit. And that is an amazing feeling when that happens. And that is truly what this life can be all about. It is exactly what you said. It is about freedom and living life on your own terms. And it made me so happy to hear you talking about it. I usually get choked up when people start to sort of compliment me and say how much I've impacted them, as you saw at the end. But also, as soon as you said that you realized you were standing in your house, yes, that's that moment that makes all of this so damn cool. And you might have, I don't know, maybe you are a photographer in real life. You didn't say one way or the other, but you sure talk like a photographer, or at least someone who's got a photographer's eye, recognizing the golden hour of the day, watching the light and the shadows. Yeah, you're onto something there for sure, Maria. You're not even onto something. You nailed it. You nailed the nail right on the head. You know what I mean. Oh, that made me so happy. Thank you so much for sharing that story, Maria. That was amazing. Anybody out there that is hesitant, that's the story I really hope you were listening to, because that is it. That is it. I'm sorry you had those issues with the ProMaster. It was brand new at the time, and the whole, sorry, it's a little chilly out here. The whole issues with the computer, that's like a mechanic's nightmare, right? Everything's going to be having to adapt and change to all the computer stuff that's in vehicles going forward. But hey, you know what? You got taken care of, and there you are. Thank you again, Maria. That was amazing. All right, let me see what we got here. We'll do a couple more, a little bit shorter. I know your time is valuable. I don't want to waste it. This one comes from one of my longtime supporters, Tracy. She writes in, she says, "Hi Matthew. I would have to start by saying that I have always been interested in off-grid living throughout my life. When I was a young lass, my interests leaned towards researching earth homes and all the off-grid capabilities. This was my dream at the time. Later in life, I became interested in the tiny house movement and the possibilities of mobile off-grid living. Then, through YouTube, I discovered Vanlife. I started watching different channels, which included different types of van builds, off-grid electrical systems, plumbing systems, etc. This constant research finally led me to your channel, Matthew. You, Chrome, and a little lady named Dee, aka Lady Bugout, were the final spark of inspiration I needed that led me to finally follow my dream. I settled on finding a Ford Transit Connect and also set a price point that I knew I could afford. Since I work full-time at a second shift job, it took me over a year to find and purchase my van. The feeling of accomplishment I have felt starting my van build is exhilarating. I must say that going from an earth home to a tiny house and then finally settling on a small van build has certainly made my dream of off-grid living more obtainable and easier to do by myself. I'm close to retirement, so this project will bring me into a whole new way of life. Pardon me. Thank you, Matthew, for your content and your kind encouragement you give to people in the process. Keep on keeping it real. Tracy." Oh, thank you, Tracy. That's, again, I'm glad these stories are going the way they're. I don't read these before usually, right? I like to have an authentic reaction to them. I feel like if I read them, I'll be prepared, and it doesn't seem quite as genuine. I'm really happy that these are going that. Yeah, I say that the next one's going to be real sad and and bring me down, but it's okay to be brought down by some of these stories because I just like it that everybody's sharing. More to the point, Tracy, I love that you dreamed of this life. I did too. I've spoken about it before, never really in my vlogs, mostly on my lives, but I did exactly what you did. I found this life and I got to where I am the exact same way you and so many others did. We are all connected by the internet and the ability to share our stories like we're doing right now. And I watched Chrome and I watched Foresty and Steve Wallace and Combi Life, and that was all that convinced me to do what I am doing. And I just find that so exhilarating, so fascinating, and so inspiring that we can do that as a community and be thousands of miles away. It's very, very cool. And again, thank you I'm glad you're enjoying the channel, and thank you very much for sharing your story. I like that you mentioned earth homes. I don't know if you mean, when you say earth homes, if you just mean regular sticks and bricks on the earth, like a plot of land, or if you mean earth ships. But that actually might have been the origin of my whole idea of living off-grid and building Lucky, was looking into what are known as earth ships, which are homes made entirely out of recycled materials and are completely off-grid. It was an ex-girlfriend of mine that introduced them to me, and we had these grand plans that we were going to do it. Obviously that didn't work out, but it introduced me, like I said, to earth ships and that whole idea that I think if I really take a minute and ponder it, is the moment when the origin of my desire for off-grid living really started, and being able to take care of stuff yourself, so to speak. And it's very cool. We all have that in common. All right. Let's do at least one more. This is another one that comes from a long-time subscriber. I say that like I've been around and relevant for so long. But dreaded Scots lass, you've been here since at least December 11th of last year. She writes in and she says, "Hi Matthew. I show up on your comments as the dreaded Scots lass. I chose that online name as I have dreadlocks and I'm Scottish." Spot on, darling. Anywho, my story is, I have wanted a camper van since my late teens, as I spent my summers every year growing up going camping with my family and love being out in nature. Roll on a few years and I met what I thought was the love of my life and fell pregnant within 2 months. We tried the whole camping thing, but he was not as liking of it as me. I said I wanted to get a motorhome, but he was very against it and relented to let me get a towing caravan. He chose to never accompany myself and our child on trips. I again fell pregnant and continued to do the solo mini holidays on my own. I eventually ended our relationship as it turns out he was a master manipulator and anything and everything that went wrong in his life was always my fault. I didn't see the abuse until my daughter was older and saw him with new eyes. Years later, I met the true love of my life and we built a camper van as he knew it was my dream. We are still sticks and bricks, but spend every available moment in our van. I have unfortunately recently been signed unfit for work from my doctor as I have developed something called fibromyalgia, which causes debilitating body-wide pain, and I was a support worker for people with learning disabilities and mental health issues. I struggle most days to look after myself now and have been grounded to sticks and bricks as my mobility due to pain has been quite bad and I'm being used as a guinea pig to try and find the correct dose of meds to try to get me to a functioning human stage again. The long plan is to buy a bigger van that we can fully stand up in or an already done motorhome. I no longer work and am selling my house that my daughter was living in to fund my future as I'm not entitled to any welfare from my government. I tell my partner that I want to full-time travel, but sadly he's not ready to give up the security of having a house, although he does want to travel too. So I guess we continue to pay ridiculous amounts of money for his security, for now. I know it's been a long email and I apologize for that. I just wanted to share my story with you and your subscribers. Take care and much love and well wishes, Sharon. Thank you for writing in, Sharon. Oh, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, and you and I would probably have a lot to talk about, especially when it comes to the relationship side of things. And for those that really follow along, I'm not speaking about any one person in particular, but relationships are always, they can always be hard and challenging, and I'm not going to pretend to be able to sit here and advise anybody on matters of the heart. Everybody is so unique when it comes to that, and we've all got our own stories to tell. I guarantee it. I am happy that you did find the absolute love of your life, and you know that to be true because you're willing to sort of compromise for one another. And I've been told that compromise is a good thing. I was gonna say a way to go. It's a good thing when you're in a relationship of a loving variety. You know, he's understanding of your desire to want to be out in nature and enjoying life in your caravan or motorhome or whatever you might want to be in. And your understanding of his desire to still want to stay sticks and bricks for security. That's a pretty amazing thing to have that. And I'm glad that you are looking at the future and the brighter sides of things because you got dealt a shit hand. That there's no other way around that. That is true. But I am very happy that you have been here as long as you have been. I appreciate that you wrote in and shared your story with us, Sharon. And I'm glad that you're still wanting to join the nomadic lifestyle, even if it's only on infrequent visits. I guess that's the way I would say that. Ah, man. All right, let's do one more to wind this one up. Because I find the subject line of this email interesting. So let's see what Dale has to say. He writes in with a subject line that says stationary van life. My start in van life came in 2010, but in my Jeep. A motorcycle accident in 2008 left me temporarily paralyzed with a list of permanent injuries too long to list here. I do not recommend using your head into a wall at 50 miles per hour to stop your airborne flight. I don't mean to laugh, Dale, it's the way you emphasize that, especially with an exclamation point. Comedy from tragedy, sir. Unable to work, I wiped out my finances and sold nearly everything I owned. By 2010, I became homeless, living in my Jeep with my dog. It took me 3 years and endless court cancellations with no notice. One hearing, I drove 400 miles to be there. Finally, in 2011, I won my case and got my settlement. With that, I paid off all my bills, medical, personal loans, and a divorce. To be broke again, but now I had a disability income. I was in the rent game and not happy. In 2015, I went to see about a home loan and learned I simply did not exist. I had a 0 credit score due to paying everything off years prior, so to do anything it would have to be a owner will carry loan. Eventually, I found several wooded acres with a creek 7 miles from the nearest town. Perfect. I had a Jeep and a van. What else do you really need? Food, water, shelter. Eventually, the old van had engine failure. That's okay though, I still live in it and tow it between summer and winter. That's okay though, I still live in it and tow it between summer and winter sites on my land. I have a barn and a small cabin here now. I still live in my 1995 Chevy G20 and I prefer it. It's named my Tin Can Cabin. Sadly, my dog Cinder, who got me through the 3 worst years of my life, passed away 2 years ago. I don't think I would have made it through those years if it weren't for her, as all the so-called friends vanished when my world crashed. I thoroughly enjoy your videos. Keep them coming. Dale, the stationary van lifer. And he shared a photo of Cinder that I will share with everyone here. I'm assuming that is all right, Dale, because she is a cutie. And as sad as it is when our little fur babies leave our lives, I'm so happy that you had her, and you know that too. She got you through the 3 worst years of your life. And I bet you as much as they were the worst years of your life, when you think of them compared to the time you had with her, you probably wouldn't trade those years if I was a betting man. I don't know. You can write me back and tell me I'm wrong, but I don't think so, because companionship and pets, especially in this lifestyle, really is a special thing, because it's a lonely lifestyle, you know, especially if you're a lone wolf all by yourself, so to speak, in a van. You can find a community, you can find fellow van lifers for sure, but at the end of the day, you really are alone in your tiny home, your tin can cabin, as you call it. And so the companionship with the animals are nice for sure. Just tends to work better for certain people in certain circumstances. And yeah, you went through the ringer for sure. I'm glad everything sort of worked out in the end. Your tone comes across quite content and happy, so I think you're probably doing okay. And I'm very happy to have you be part of the VanlifePLUS community, Dale. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm going to leave that there, you guys. I'm going to stoke my fire and spend a little bit more time down here, just sort of enjoying this nice day, evening as it approaches. If you would like to share your story, please do not hesitate. You can submit it to the email address vanlifepluscontact@gmail.com, and I would be more than happy to continue sharing these. We still got quite a few to get through. They keep coming in, and it makes me very happy that people are willing to share their experiences, and I'm glad that it is being so well received by all of you. We'll keep going as long as you want it to. So until the next one, you guys, just go out there, be happy, be creative, be yourselves. Most importantly, be positive, and I'll see you all in the next one.